This is going to be a video about my setup in my 98 Chevrolet Lumina LTZ. GM 3800 motor. I've already done the install. This is just a video to follow up everything. It's got the standard battery underneath the hood, underneath that reservoir. It's had the so-called Big 3 BS done to it. Battery cables run to the frame, to the block, and well, there's no frame. I don't know if I can, yeah, I can't get up in there and see anything. I've got these extendable battery lugs, so you can put more cables on them, on each battery. Battery cables run up along in the loom. They're all 2/0 cable. They run around over there. Now you can see my ground connection is right here. So one of the cables from the battery, you can see, I'm trying to look through my phone, they're all the same length. They make a big loop over there. One of them comes into ground right here, and the other one, oh damn, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this shit or not. There we go. You can see I've got a little metric coupler on there that attaches the original little 10 gauge charging cable, and that's connected through the coupler, and it's tight. And then outside here I can put a metric bolt into the back side of the coupler. It's a shorty, but it's spec'd out right. And this cable, well, that cable right down there, or one of these cables, come over from the battery, and that's my junction right there. And then this cable goes out and around, makes a loop. I might walk over there on the other side and try to get that other picture. If I'm not looking at the sun, maybe it'll be a little bit better. So anyway, the positive cable from the alternator runs down the loom, and I put in a switch, starter switch. Well, it's just a on-off. That way, if I need to service those batteries back there, I disconnect it. And that runs up to the mega fuse, 250 amp mega fuse. From there, it runs down along the body with the negative cable. See, one of these cables is for the amp, and they're all 2/0. I believe they're 2/0. It's been so long since I did it. And down along the bottom of the car, underneath this seat and the carpet, run up to the batteries. Okay, when the batteries come in, it goes through another 250 amp mega fuse to the battery, and then the ground cable comes up here also. right here. So these are my main battery cables from my alternator into my batteries. Now I'll go out here in the trunk, it'll be a little bit easier. I got everything mounted on this little battery box shelf out of a Kenworth truck. Got little handles on it so I can slide it out if I need to. But it's just sitting in there. Got these little angle pieces and door handles on it so it can't slide around, and which it never has. The cables are all hooked up, crisscrossed across the batteries. Now, I'm not saying those blue top Optimas are the best thing to have, because I do have a charging problem. But there's the 2x8. Hopper built 2x8. And I also have a mega fuse coming off of the main battery going to the amp. This is the cable going to the amp. Goes through one of those battery quick disconnects. Better than an Anderson. It was an Anderson. And then the ground cable just hooks up to the ground cable on the amp. Now I've got a little jumper here, or a connector. This is a 12-volt wire that is inside the amp. I'll come over here and show it to you here. It runs right in here. And that is soldered right inside the amp. So I've got a special voltmeter that's got the same connector on the other end of it. And I can just plug it into it. And I can tell just how much power I'm getting to the inside of this amp. See, it's just a little double bullet connector. And you can see that the red wire is the one that's completely insulated. There ain't no guessing, ain't no hooking up to these batteries and checking getting a voltage drop or anything. And then here's the negative cable. I'm trying to look through my phone again. Yeah, here we go. Negative cable just bolts right down here to the base of it. I don't need a quick connect for that. This is a little mic connector that Hopper Built puts on it for the remote control of the amp, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. Now, if you're wondering what all this stuff here is, well, this is just about unbelievable. I can't hardly see shit. This is all wiring, so whenever I get ready to put my bird elements back here, I've already got the wires ran. Or no, that's right here. That's right here. This is the wiring for the bird meters already. This is left over from the remote. So yeah, I need to do something different, because my power drops down to about 12.3 when I key this thing up, run about 2,000 RPM. And granted, I could probably use a little bit more alternator, but I'm kind of limited on what I can put underneath the hood of this thing. That's a CS 144, and it's got 200 amp guts in it, professionally built by me. And I know for a fact it puts out 180, so that's within 20%, so that's not too bad there. I could use a little bit more, but I'd have to change the tensioner and go to a whole different style alternator mount. And then I'd have to fight the heater connections, because they come out of the tensioner. So I'm thinking either different kind of batteries or super cap. So this whole thing started out as just a mag mount, 3 magnet mount, but I had too much reflection, so I bit the big one and I gunny pucked it. Get the shadow of the phone out of there. Took the headliner down, put LMR 240 up to the puck. I spent a month making sure that everything was good before I put the headliner back in it. Co-phased all the, no, I didn't co-phase it. Checked the cable for resonant. Made sure that was all good to go. It's LMR 240 up to the antenna. And then it's RG8X from the amp up to the radio. That's why the difference in the coax colors there. This is the LMR 240. And the other is RG8X. It's just so much easier to pull the back seat out. 4 bolts. Back seat comes out. You can service it back there, whatever you need to do. It's pretty hard to get in this trunk and mess with it. So that's kind of what I do. If it was something easy like just changing the batteries out, it's a lot easier to pull the back seat out of it. Now, as far as radio, I'm a big quad 5 nut. I've got a quad 5 made by Top Gun Technologies in this car. I've got one in the other car sitting right next to me, and I've got a backup. What I like about these, they're all PC programmable. I've got 60 channels on each of the bands, A through F. All radios are all programmed the same. Now I've done a little extra stuff to this quad 5. I put on a 5-pin connector on the side so I can run my Uniden wireless mic off of it. I needed a place to grip my power. And that's just an external speaker, of course. This little thing here is the control for the amp. I flip that switch up, it turns the 2-pill on. I flip the other switch over, turns the 8-pill on. Now, you see this little box right below me here that my mic actually plugs into. That is all homemade, because here's the original mic for the quad 5. It's still a 4-pin. Here is the connection for the Uniden wireless mic, 5-pin. You see a little toggle switch. If I want to use that to key up, I flip that up. Right now it's set so I key it up with the quad 5 mic. This is a 5-pin DIN, which my wife hates listening to the radio, the CB. So I've got a Sears boom mic that I hook up on that. It's pretty nice. Listen to it. The microphone don't work with the shit. Impedance must be all jacked up according to the radio, but I still use the microphone on the that's hanging on my thing right here. I like it because you can change channels on it and stuff. But that's about it. And you notice I do not have a RF or a RF power knob on my radio. That's so I don't jack around with it and crank up my dead key too much and wipe out the amp. But it's all wired up here so I can put 3 gauges in it. I don't know where the hell I'd put them at. I might have to make something come up over here or over all this stuff here. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but that's about it for this thing. Some reflection in there. One thing I don't like about it, some of the numbers are starting to disappear from the channel selector. But I still know what they are. So that's pretty much it. Everybody's been wanting to see a video on my install, so and this car over here has got the same radio in it. It's got a 667 in it, Texas Star. It's got one of them little dual coil Predator 10Ks. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of Predator 10K. Yeah. If I can figure out how to keep more juice back here, if I could keep this thing up around 13.5 whenever I key up, I think it'd live a lot longer, put out a lot more. So I'm going to take this amp out right now. I just built me a 200 amp 220 volt power supply with the help of Mr. D and Mr. Craig down in Australia. I'm going to take that out, play around with it, hook it up to it. It's supposed to be a 200 amp power supply. That's my old buddy Slim Jim. Just can't quite get my other power supply made. It's going to be going on 4 years. And kiss that $750 goodbye. Oh, by the way, the hood is the trunk lid is bonded. Each side, all the doors are bonded through the boot, and the hood is bonded. A lot of guys ask about that. I about forgot to tell you about that. Yeah. Grounds, and more grounds, right? You know, that's about all I can think of. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. 73.